Hey everyone, Chivos here, bringing you another Hyundai A-League Fixture preview for the fixtures of Week 14. Now, the first game of the weekend sees Central Coast Mariners take on Melbourne Victory. Now, Central Coast managed to pick up their second win of the season last weekend, while Melbourne picked up their first win in their last 5 fixtures. So, it's really a big weekend last weekend for both sides. Now, Central Coast Mariners welcome 5 players to their first team squad, which is always going to be good news for them. Matthew Sim and Anthony Kallick return to the first team squad, while they also welcome 3 new signings. Yes, Central Coast have been in the transfer market. Is it going to change their squad? Potentially it will. So, Alistair Bray is their first signing. He's a 22-year-old goalkeeper. He's been signed to help with squad depth, and you'll find out shortly because they are without a certain player. Francesco Stella is making his return to the A-League as he spent his last spell with Melbourne Victory. That's right, the first game he comes back to is against Melbourne Victory. Will he start? I don't know. But Stella is a 24-year-old attacking midfielder, and Central Coast Mariners will hope that he can help add to their goal scoring tally, or even start assisting goals, because they bagged 3 last weekend, which was exceptional, but they need to do that week in, week out, because otherwise they're going to dwell at the bottom of the table. And finally, Central Coast Mariners have also signed 17-year-old Trent Bahaja, who has been part of their youth system. Now, Trent Bahaja, I don't know anything about him. All I know is that he's grown up in the Central Coast area. He's a local, and they reckon he's quite decent. So he's an attacking player, can be deployed on the left wing, the right wing, or up front as a striker. So apparently, from what I know, he's quite talented. He's been training at the Australian Institute of Football or something like that, some weird place. And I do know that he's very, very pacey, so you have to be careful of that. Will he make an appearance this weekend? I don't know, but if he does, let's see how quick he really is. Now, Central Coast Mariners are without O'Donovan, Heffernan, Pearce, and Izzo. So Izzo is out. He's out for Olyroos duty. He's out for the rest of the month, I believe. So that is why they've brought in Alistair Bray. So whether he starts or not is another question, but Melbourne Victory welcome Nick Ansell back from injury, which is a big boost for them. Guy Finkler is also back apparently. Apparently he was unfit last weekend. Apparently he's fit now. And George Howard has also been welcomed to the first team. Katabian has been promoted to the first team squad. And new signing, which I'm quite excited about, Jai Ingham has been selected for the squad and could make his first ever club appearance. So we have signed him from Hume City FC. He's a winger. Will he be subbed on for Barbarousse or Calfella? You got Archie Thompson there as well. Connor Payne is going to be away. You'll find out about that in a minute. But we're missing a lot of depth. So whether he plays or not is another question. So Melbourne Victory are without Jeria, Payne, Deng, Galloway, and Galafuccio, who are all out for Olyroos duty, and they are all unavailable for the rest of the month, while Carl Valeri is still unavailable as we are still waiting on his test results. Now, I can see Central Coast playing very well. I don't think they'll capture the form they had last week, though, and Melbourne Victory are going to be desperate to win more matches, otherwise they can't keep in touch with the top 2. Now, unfortunately for Central Coast, last week was a bit of a fluke. They played against a very bad Wellington Phoenix side, and although they have new signings, I don't think it's going to be enough against a strong team like Melbourne Victory. So in this case, I can see Melbourne Victory taking this result in a 2-1 win. The second game of the weekend sees Sydney FC take on Newcastle Jets. Now, Sydney FC managed to grab a draw last weekend, while Newcastle Jets are still struggling to find a win. Sydney FC welcome Stambolzev, Matty Simon, Kelva, and Mullen to the first team squad, while Ali Abbas, yeah, that's right, Ali Abbas, haven't heard his name for a very long time. Well, he is back. He got injured last year. He's been out of football for a year. He's back. He's fit. Let's see if he gets some game time, because it would be good to see Abbas back for Sydney FC. Now, Sydney FC will also be without Gersbach, Hull and O'Neill, who are all out on the Olyroos duty as well, so they're out for the rest of the month, while Alex Brosk is out with a hamstring injury, reported 3 to 4 weeks. So huge losses there for Sydney FC in Gersbach and Brosk, but their squad depth is huge. Now, Newcastle Jets welcome Leonardo and Carney both back to the first team squad, while they have no apparent out. So Newcastle welcoming two first team players back to the squad. It will boost their confidence, but Sydney FC won't really miss too much of their squad. I mean, Hall and O'Neill aren't really the best players. The Gersbach and Brosk are probably two notable names, but I think they have enough in the depth department. So, unfortunately for Newcastle, they're not going to pick up a win this weekend, because I can see Sydney FC winning this result 2-1. The third game of the weekend sees Melbourne City FC take on Western Sydney Wanderers. Now, Melbourne City only managed to pick up 1 point last weekend, although you do have to remember they were missing 3 key players. Whereas on the other hand, Western Sydney Wanderers also only picked up a draw, but they are now unbeaten in their last 10 fixtures. They are on a roll. And are they going to be stopped this weekend? You tell me. So, Melbourne City welcome Pardlew, Moy, Williams and Rattray to the first team squad, while Dean Bozanis is also available as he's an incoming transfer. So that's a bit of news there for Melbourne City. They've signed Bozanis, and I think they've signed him from Western Sydney themselves. So, Valafi was released from the club earlier in the week. He's going to look for a career in Europe, while Mork is on international duty with the Olyroos, and Espindola has been omitted from the squad. While Western Sydney Wanderers, on the other hand, welcome Bacchus, Sotirio, Asprotomatus, and new signing Liam Reddy to the first team squad. So Bozanis is moving from Western Sydney Wanderers to Melbourne City, which is what Melbourne City really want. They want some depth there. While Liam Reddy did lose his contract, I think it was at Central Coast Mariners earlier on in the year, and now he's wound up at Western Sydney Wanderers. So that's great depth there for Western Sydney. But Scott Neville is also unavailable for Western Sydney as he is serving a suspension. Now, Melbourne City are able to score. We know this. They picked up 16 goals in four matches, so they can score. But Western Sydney Wanderers are in fine form. But Western Sydney Wanderers aren't going to win this weekend. They're going to draw. They're going to be unbeaten in 11, but it's going to be a tough grind. I can see this result ending in a 2-2 draw. That's one to watch there. Now, the fourth game of the weekend sees Perth Glory take on Adelaide United. Now, Adelaide United unbeaten in 5 and slowly climbing up towards the top 6, whereas though Perth Glory missed their chance last weekend to get top 6 and unfortunately currently sit in 9th position. So Perth Glory welcome Ferreira and Collard to the first team squad, while big news, Andy Keogh will return for Perth Glory as he signed a new contract, although he is waiting on international clearance. It should be cleared up by the weekend. Expect to see Andy Keogh in the lineup for Perth Glory. Now, Perth Glory will be without Mark Warren due to suspension, but Andy Keogh, way bigger news. Way bigger news. Now, Adelaide United welcome Babelge and Tongyik to the first team squad, and they have no apparent out, so Adelaide United should be able to field the same squad they did last weekend. And Adelaide United obviously in good form, haven't lost in their last 5, so doing well, but they are playing away from home in West Australia, and they are playing against Andy Keogh. That's right, Perth Glory going to play Andy Keogh. The strength for him up top. He managed to bag 12 goals last season. He was huge in their season. Obviously, the salary cap did cause some problems, but Andy Keogh was the main reason why Perth Glory got that 3rd position. And unfortunately for Adelaide United, I can see Perth Glory winning this one. A 1-0 win, and Andy Keogh is going to be the goal scorer. I'm calling it now. Andy Keogh 1, Adelaide United 0. And the final game of the weekend sees Wellington Phoenix take on Brisbane Roar. Now, Wellington Phoenix were humiliated last weekend by Central Coast. And Brisbane Roar managed to go top of the table. They haven't been there for, I think it's a good 10 weeks now, but they're back up there. I bet they're happy about it. Wellington welcome the returns of Sarpong and Riera, while McGarry, Rogerson, Demario and Stevens are all promoted to the first team squad. But obviously, Wellington are going to struggle. They are without key players Muscat, Bonavazia and Rodriguez, who are all suspended. And Roy Krishna is out with an ankle injury. They're also missing the likes of Ben Sigmund, and there was another notable name, but I can't remember who it was. So Wellington Phoenix, without so many players, I think they're going to struggle. But on the other hand, Brisbane Roar welcome Brown, Pollens, Lustica, Clut, and Brady to the first team squad, while Brisbane Roar will also be without McLaren, Donarki, and Barallo, who are all out on international duty. Now, obviously, Brisbane Roar going to be without McLaren and Barallo. It's going to weaken their front three so much. McLaren is the third highest goal scorer in the league at the moment. Barallo, not the best player, but he does a job for Brisbane Roar. So they're going to be without one of their key players in Jamie McLaren, but I can guarantee Enrique is going to step up to the plate. He's going to start for Brisbane Roar. I think he's going to be the saviour. So it's going to be good. He's bagged 3 goals since his return. He's done well, and he deserves a start. And he's lucky McLaren's out for the rest of the month. So I think Enrique could be starting up front for the next month. Whereas though, on the other hand, Wellington Phoenix are struggling with squad depth and have 7 first-team players unavailable for the fixture. They're at 7. That is more than half their first team out for the fixture. So Wellington Phoenix going to have to rely on a bit of youth, and I think it's really going to kill them. So obviously, an injury hit Wellington Phoenix versus strong Brisbane Roar. Who do you think is going to win? Obviously, it's going to be Brisbane Roar, and I predict it's going to be 2-0. But let me know if I'm right, or let me know if I'm wrong. Tell me your predictions in the comments section down below, because I think I've got a few winners this weekend. But my name has been Chivos. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe to see more Hyundai A-League content. And I'll catch you guys on another video.